What's going on, good people? Rich here. We are back at it again with another episode of Another Week in the Books. Book 2, Chapter 4. We're going to get into the title here in a second. But obviously, as you know, I'm not here by myself. Here with the good brother Spike Lou. Spike, how you feeling, man?
Feeling good, feeling great. Glad to have y'all with us and keeping us accountable, man. That's what we here for. How you feeling, my brother?
I'm feeling good, man. Like you said, keeping us accountable is the main key to all of this. It's been a busy week and trying to balance all of this. I'm really glad. Well, I actually want to ask you this, and we do have a guest with us today, so we won't spend too much time with the pleasantries. We'll get right into the conversation. But I did want to ask you. This is chapter 4 that we're on. We're about to kick off. We did the
Mhm.
prologue as well. How you feeling about book 2 so far, man?
I'm loving it, man. Book two has been
Yeah,
fun to do. I like the space from a mental space where we was talking about just getting accustomed to doing stuff that you said you was gonna do. It was fun having the conversations with Mo. I feel like this is the proper elevation for book two to where, yep, it was fun to have the conversation and put all the stuff out on the table. Now let's do something about it. Like having that mindset, like that's in the back of your head all day as you're doing your task and doing these different things. So it's been really helpful there. And as I said, man, not to blow no smoke, and I hope he listening. But that episode with school was one of the best that I recorded, man. And all the stuff that I do, and I get
yeah,
it in. It's my shit seventh recording this week, I want to say.
yeah.
So that was one of my favorite things that I do that I did. So that's one a big highlight. So it's
Nah,
been great. What
absolutely.
about for you?
I feel the same way. I talked about it before, being a bookworm or being a co-author on book one, about how much this space meant to me and how every Friday I was looking forward to just tuning in and getting the jewels and enjoying the conversation. So there was obviously a little bit of hesitation just being on this side of the microphone. However, it's been everything I could imagine, and it's been good to have people reach out. If I wasn't a part of this, we wouldn't have had that episode with school. We wouldn't have that powerful conversation. We wouldn't have incredible guests like the one we have today, and it would be a little bit easier to lack. Now we're both busy, which is cool, and that's half the battle, right? So people, I'm sure you get it the same way I do. People look at you and say, "Man, you busy as a man." I know you just that and the third, but being busy without any execution or any kind of plan really doesn't mean anything. It's
Just
just
spinning your
kind of
wheels.
just spinning your wheels. And like you said, going from book one to book two, how do you take this brilliance and move it to the next level, right? How do you advance? How do you get better? How do you um, pass it forward too to the next
Hmm.
generation and everybody else? It's all about elevation. And this is the topic that I want to have in the next few weeks, but just that feeling of the hamster wheel, right? When you hit a certain point in life, you can look up, and if you're not really ambitious or really have any kind of plan, you look around, and this is going to be your life for the next 20, 30 years, and that's
Yep.
scary. And it's easy to figure out
Terrible.
why people check out, like mentally, just check out. Like this is it, this is all I got. And I was having a conversation with one of my good brothers recently, and it was pretty layered. And I want you and I to have that conversation. We'll talk about the topic at a later date. I know we had some goals of the week that we were going to talk about, but we're going to shelf that because next week we'll have finished our 21-day challenge,
Yep.
so we can have a broad conversation about how that went for us, how those habits are building, and how they stuck to our regime, or our routine, should I say, and all the above, man. And please don't worry. I know everybody out there listening. We talked about it. I talked to Mo. Producer school is coming soon. We're gonna add the music back in the background. I know people were requesting it. A lot more things and social media presence. And I actually think we have the perfect guest today to talk about a lot of things. Um, we mentioned we're on chapter 4. The title of this episode is "There's Food at Home," right? A phrase that is coined by the good brother that we have with us today, Lawrence Kane Jr. Lawrence Kane Jr., man, he is a financial coach. I want to make sure I'm clear on that. He's not a financial advisor, he's a financial coach. All right. He's an author, he's an entrepreneur who focuses on teaching financial and business principles. He has 4 books on Amazon right now, 4 books on Amazon right now. Abundance University, Invest in Black Women. As if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the hoodie. Social media presence is strong. Just a go-getter. Recently featured in the New York Times, which is a big deal. I love once he posted the New York Times article. I love how you put use the Fat Joe clip, man. Yesterday's price is not today's price. We up. We up. And I want to kind of talk to you about the journey, and I want to talk to you about financial literacy, especially in the community. And also, you know, there's a particular post that you made some years back. Because we talk about your accomplishments and everything you're doing, but I believe in I can't remember when it was, but you talked about how you started this brand and got into finance at 21, and you're just now feeling that you're kind of knowing what you're doing. But we'll get into all of that. Without further ado, and let me just say this before I roll you in. I just want to say I greatly appreciate you, Lawrence, because Lawrence and myself, we were working the Jazz Fest as brand ambassadors for King C. Gillette and had an incredible time. I guess for all those out there, if you ain't from Cincinnati, I guess you'll reference it as a Cincinnati Music Festival. But if you're from Cincinnati, it's still the Jazz Fest, right? It's still the Jazz Fest, and we had an incredible time, man. Had a ball. Can't believe we got paid for doing that. It was really just a good time for 2 days. And Lawrence was somebody that I knew as we were starting this up, Spike, that I wanted to have on here. I
remember you mentioning that.
Yeah, I mentioned it early, and his presence and just his message and everything else, and the jewels that he can drop. I thought it would be important to have on here. I thought a lot of people could benefit from it, and talk to him there just briefly. Say, hey, man, got this podcast. We hadn't even recorded episode 1 or chapter 1, should I say? And I just said it in passing, like, yo, in the next couple months, man, I'm gonna reach out to you. He said, sure, no thing. It was just as simple as that. And we've all been in situations where you reach out to somebody, yeah, man, I got you. And then you try to get something set up and nothing happens. And it was really as easy as, hey, man, we're thinking about doing that this week. Lawrence said, bet. Here's the email. I'll send you the information. We go from there. So I appreciate you just for taking your time to be on here, to spread that knowledge, and to join us today. Without further ado, Lawrence Kane Jr., we appreciate having you on, brother. How you feeling?
Hey, man, I'm good, brother. I appreciate y'all for having me, man. And shout out to y'all. I mean, again, I think you said it in the intro, man, as I'm listening. Accountability is the biggest thing, man. So it's hard to get on here when you're busy. It's hard to, do something where it's not a paycheck involved yet. You feel me? Or, you get tired. You kind of push things off and, later becomes never. So shout out to y'all too for keeping this thing going, and I'm excited to especially be a part of book 2 for sure.
Absolutely, man. You are officially a co-author. You are officially a bookworm. So we appreciate having you. I'm sure there will be more visits in the future as we continue to grow this. And I love, and another reason why we wanted you on, man, just the positive energy, man. For sure. Immediately said, not getting a paycheck yet, right? Because we know what's coming, man. And it's always about a plan. I want to talk to you about financial literacy.
Yeah.
It is something not just Black Americans, but all Americans struggle with, right? I think the stats like 59% of the average American doesn't have $1,000 for an emergency fund or emergency expense or anything like that. What made you want to start and go down this path of building Abundance University and making sure, Spike and myself, we always talk about how high school should be teaching a lot of this stuff. And you took it upon yourself to say, well, I'll be the school, I'll be the bridge, and I'll make sure I teach this. What did you see, or what was it that made you want to jump into this space and really teach the community about financial literacy?
For sure, man. For me, it first started with me going through what I went through, right? Like I think a lot of us, we get in situations to where it's like you really don't know why or how you're going to use it in the future, but it's like, yeah, this can't happen again, or I don't want this to happen again, right? So when I was 18 years old, I had moved out the house. I graduated high school when I was 17. And like most men growing up with, a Black mama, sometimes you butt heads a little bit. And I was like, man, I'm about to move out. Me and my cousin, we got a 2-bedroom apartment. And back in the day, it was only $475. I'm like,
yeah.
And that what I can, you know, we
Oh,
can.
hold on. I gotta ask you real quick because there's only a handful of first apartments people in Cincinnati get, man. Where was your first apartment? Where was it?
My first apartment was in Mount Airy.
Of course it was. Of course it was.
Mount Airy, 2-bed, 1.5 bathrooms for the $475 a month. Couldn't beat it. So we moved out. I moved out like a month before I turned 18. But while I was 18, I was working 2 jobs. I had 2 cars paid for. I had no debt. You know, I didn't go to college yet because of procrastination. That's a whole nother story. But I found myself broke because I went to go get my driver's license after I got all these cars, passed the test, but couldn't pay for my driver's license, bro. And you look at it as like it's a Tuesday. I don't get paid till Thursday. Like I have no money nowhere. Don't even have a bank account. Like I moved out of my mama house with no bank account, right? So you know these things that I went through, right? At 18, at 20, I go back to school. You know, I go to college finally. I'm working 3rd shift while going to school full time, both full time. And while I was in college, I had a personal finance class, and I found myself looking in the glossary and looking up terms and all of these different words that was like, man, I ain't never get taught this, right? Now I done read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You know, I think we all done read that, right? Like, so I read that up to that point, but like, when you don't know what you don't know, it's like, man, what? I don't know none of this. So when I went to school the next morning, I told my career services rep that I wanted to work at a bank because I'm like, I might as well get paid to learn about money. That was like my thinking. So fast forward, I finished my 2-year degree on a Friday. I started U.S. Bank on that Monday. And I worked at the branch. I was a teller and banker there. Then I, left there, worked at Antonelli College here in Cincinnati. It was a for-profit college that was in our downtown and Westchester areas. Then I worked at a private lending company. And this is where it really kind of started to, pieces started to come together. I was, in this role, I was on the phones, customer service or whatever. And I'm like, man, I'm bigger than this, right? Like I done dabbled into forms of entrepreneurship, like network marketing. And, a lot of my family members had businesses. So I worked for their companies, while I was young and whatnot. Man, I got that aha moment. I was like, man, I know what I'm good at. I'm good at teaching. I'm good at breaking down stuff, right? Because I was a youth leader at my church, so I always was in front of kids. So I'm 20, I'm 24, 25 at the time, and I'm like, hey, y'all should just pay me to go teach the kids how to manage money because this was a private lending company that dealt with private student loans. And we all know that student loans, the federal can be forgiven, not the private, right? So I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, this is a master plan. We teach them how to budget their money, and then they can always have money for us. That was my thing. I'm like, this was brilliant. They kept telling me no. I kept getting the 4 years I was there, I had 3 different managers. So I didn't move up in the company like I thought I would. But I'm like, I know I got something. I know I can figure something out. And through some counsel, created a business plan, and Abundance University was birthed. So in 2015, we launched our first workshop in the community. And for adults, now the beauty about Abundance University is that we serve the family, right? It's not like a financial advisor, they're serving the adults. It's not too much they can do or teach the kids, right? And there's certain products that they don't sell or don't even care to talk to families about. With what we do with financial literacy, we literally have literature for kindergarten on up. So once these babies know how to read, is up. So that we started with doing these workshops, and because I really understood that we didn't know real financial literacy, not practical, right? Like we know how to make money and spend money. we know credit, and we know the ramifications of what good credit and bad credit does. But like, how do we make sure that the majority of Black people in our community start off the right way? Like, it should, when you look at it, it really shouldn't be credit repair, right? It should be credit building. Like,
right.
we got, but we have more people repairing credit than building credit. And that's where like Abundance University comes in, right? We're in the schools, we're in the communities, focusing on teaching the kids young what we learn late. And then again, if it's when we work with the adults, we create a safe space for financial education. We're not judging you that you may have messed up in your 20s and now you in your 30s trying to figure it out. You may have not be the best saver. You may not have the best credit. That's fine. But what we going to do going forward, that's what we focus on. So the passion just came from wanting to help my community, man. And I think, and I'm going to just say this and we'll go forward, but like a lot of Black men, they want to go to the NBA or the NFL, and because they want the what comes with that, the money, the fame, the ability to do whatever. I wanted to go to the NBA because I used to see the NBA Cares commercials, and I used to see the look on those kids' faces when them NBA players walked in. And I said, I want to make impact like that. I want to walk into a room full of kids and they get excited. So obviously, we met in person. I ain't nowhere near no NBA player. I get that same impact, bro, right now. Like, I walk into certain schools, man, and the adults are like, they never see me. And I walk in the school that they work in, they like, who is he? Like, these kids that probably don't even listen to them, they come to me like excited. So,
yeah,
I believe that God knew my heart at the end of the day as far as what I wanted to do. And that was to make impact in the young people's lives. And that's what I do with financial literacy.
Absolutely, man. I know a lot of people out there haven't met Lawrence, but if you have, you just know it's hard. Your energy, it can't be down, right? Your energy can't be down. Lawrence just has an ability to just kind of boost the spirit of everybody around, and that makes perfect sense in the way that you impact the youth and kind of teach them things, especially things that they're not being taught in the traditional school system, and they're already getting a head start from people like you, me, Spike, and etc. I want to jump back a little bit, and Spike, I definitely want you to jump in whenever you have something. But you said you came up with a business plan, right? Or even had what some people would say, even had the audacity to say, hey, y'all should just pay me to do this. Like, I know this isn't a role, I know this isn't a position, but I'm good at it, and I need to go down this path. I think it can be beneficial. And like you said, it wasn't just beneficial for you, but hey, it's beneficial for the company. Like, they know how to budget, so we never have to worry about late payments or defaults or anything like that. Everybody eating, it's a full circle thing, and it's a win-win situation. I feel like the hardest thing for a lot of people, I feel like let me say it like this. I think the second hardest thing for people is to start something. I think the hardest thing for people is to keep going. What was it that made you just say, I'm going to come up with a business plan? Because a lot of people think business plan, or they'll have an idea, and then you talk to them about the steps you need to actually fulfill that idea, and they're like, oh, never mind. That's too much work. That's too much. I ain't trying to do all that. I don't know how to do all that. Did you know what you were doing with the business plan? And what was it that just, if you didn't know, what was it that put that fire in you to say, you know what, I'm not going to stop until I figure this out?
Yeah, I think I just wanted more, right? I wanted more out of life. Up until that point, I was with my current wife, and we only had one kid, but I just knew that life was going to get real interesting as I got older, and I wanted to have that freedom. I wanted to have a financial space of being able to move how I wanted to move. And I also was surrounded by a lot of young men that are still in my life right now. There was an organization called Sankofa Brotherhood that I was in. We were doing work in the community. We were tutoring in Wind Terrace. For those who don't know, Wind Terrace is one of our roughest neighborhoods. I got robbed. I had guns put to my head and went terrorist at one point in my life. But
one way in, one way out.
Yeah, one way in, one way out. You feel me? But like, I figured that nobody could tell me I was wrong because it was me providing the information, right? It's not like if somebody's trying to start a clothing brand, right? There's a lot of different factors that come with a clothing brand. You know, somebody got to even like your design, right? But financial literacy, I know you don't know how to budget. I was in the actual banks. I used to have to sit with people and go over their finances like I was a financial coach at the time, right? Like, so I knew what I knew, and I knew that, again, I could present it in a way that people would digest it, but also feel empowered to move forward, right? And that's why we called our workshops financial empowerment workshops, because like, I already know you know certain things, but it's like, I want to empower you to really lock in and get to your goals and forgive yourself of any past financial decisions that kind of keep you in a funk, you know, because it's really not a financial mistake. It's like, when you look at the actual things that we did with our money when we were younger, it felt like the right thing to do at the time.
Well, at least it felt good. At least it felt good if it wasn't the right thing.
it felt like, look, this is the only thing I know right now, right? So it's like we all can look back and say, hey, maybe that wasn't the best thing to do, but at the same time, you now have wisdom. And I like to compare it like this, y'all. I know y'all want, you know, we all come from the same lineage. Remember when we played the Sega Genesis or the Super Nintendo? If you lost, you had to start all over, right? You had to start all over. The beauty about life is that if you lose, you don't even have to start all over. You starting smarter. You are starting with resources that is not lost. Like when playing Mario, you lose that last life, it's over. You got to start back over to the beginning. Yep. If Abundance University goes down now, I still got the relationships. I still got my reputation. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many things, and I want people that's watching and listening to this, like, it's not like you can't be scared. Like, you can't be scared to fail, and you definitely can't be scared of the change that comes with success. Because that's what a lot of people get stuck on, is that they have to get out of their own way to get to the success, and that way is uncomfortable. It's them being accountable. That word, like, you got to be accountable when you trying to go after something, right? So I really just knew that at the end of the day, nobody could. I had Abundance University up here before I ever wrote down the business plan, and it's still up here. So, you know, 9 years later, going into our 10th year, we're on the business plan that I wrote down. We're not even close to what that was. Like, like, I put on there an app. Like, I was gonna have an app, and we was gonna do all, like, you know, it morphed into something that God really put his hand on. You know, like, it blows my mind that I get paid to teach financial literacy, bro. Like, I don't have no boss. I don't have a curriculum that somebody else is making me do. I'm not having prices that people telling me they're gonna pay me. I make my own prices. Thank God. I'm able to do business with people that I love, and I get to really be in the, like, thick of things. Like, I do workshops in the hood laundromat while people do getting their clothes washed. Like, I got proof, like, pictures and videos of that. Like, you can't take that away. Like, I'm like, that blows my mind. And I'm like you said earlier, I feel like I'm just getting started, bro.
That's dope. That is real dope, bro. When you had the business plan and you said, you know, I got the idea, how did that transition into booking my first workshop? Because you have the information, The business plan is what you make it. As far as making money and like, okay, I'm going to put this into action. How difficult was that? Where you seen, I ain't saying, and I ain't saying making more than breaking even. I'm just talking about maybe booking your first session and you being like, okay, it's working.
So this was the secret sauce. Honestly, looking back, I was still working at the job, so I had the leverage to where I could offer stuff for free to get the attention and the trust of the people, right? So a lot of people jump into things and they just automatically assume it's gonna work, and they put a lot of things at risk when they do it. I had no risk. It was literally no risk, all reward. That was number one. Number two, when I was doing the workshops, I did them at my alma mater, North College Hill. So I had a relationship with the school because I always came back, and I was already working with some of the students there in a different capacity. So it was just like, hey, I'm about to start this business. I just need a space to do this workshop, every month. And the principal was like, say less. I opened up the doors for you. So it got like that.
The relationship that you had.
It was the relationships. So that was 2015. Fast forward to really 2017. That's when things really started to pick up. I got fired from my job that I was at for 4 years. I got fired in literally 10 days after my birthday on New Year's Day. And it was the best day of my life almost. Like, it's up there. It's like top 10 for sure. Because I really felt that weight lifted off. It was like I was already in almost a rat race because they didn't believe in me. They never promoted me or put me in that position. They were trying to make me do these lateral moves, saying I was overqualified for certain stuff. But I'm like, I'm overqualified for this position. So they let they let me go, and I turned up from there. Like, I really got to it, and I just want to take this time to really shout out my wife too. Like, my wife really was the reason why I was able to do all of these things, because she empowered me. She always made me feel like I can do anything. She never doubted me and my ability. She just, at the end of the day, as any wife, she just need proof, because these bills don't stop. So, we had our conversation. We still do. We have our marriage meetings and we have our financial meetings even to this day. But in 2017, that's what really that was the pivotal moment. And the focus for me was I need to do something that's gonna really set me apart from just feeling like it was a charity work. So I wrote my first book, Money Seeds 30 Financial Principles, in 2017, July. Then I met with a guy, and I'm gonna shout him out. Floyd, if you know Ohio Against the World.
Floyd from Ohio.
Ohio Against the World, baby. So he, long story short, he recorded me while we were meeting, and his friend Danielle worked at Aikens after school program. And she gave me my first contract.
Oh, word! So you weren't even seeking it. It just kind of.
She emailed me randomly, and when we met, she was like, "Yeah, my friend posted your video." I'm like, "Who your friend?" I don't remember no video. And then I did remember he tagged me in it. So it just been up from there, And yeah, that was the main 2017. That was the year that everything, my life really changed. And, when they fired me, they freed me. So
that's a bold statement right there.
Yeah,
it sounds like facts. It sounds like a lot of your beginning success was relationships. And I know that's one of the things Rich and I were talking about, accountability, that I'm holding myself more accountable for, is getting out there and being seen. Like you said, your first space came from you just going back to people that you knew already. And then my man Video, he posted, it's just from you being out there and doing stuff. And then that's when the plans start to work. You can write anything down you want to, but get out there and actually have your face in the place. That's fire.
Yeah, man. I one of the principles in my first book is relationships can carry you further than your resume. So I'm a big believer. I wouldn't be here without my relationships. I people ask me all the time, like, how you get contracts, and I'm like, part of mostly every, I would say 98% of the revenue that we've generated was based on relationship. It's been rare that I've emailed a school that didn't know me and I got a workshop out of it. It's rare. Like, and I'm trying to do more of that just because I know like it's thousands of schools. So it's like I know eventually those are hit, but like in Cincinnati, man, relationships, man. And that's why it's just good to do right by people. I mean, even when I worked at the bank when I was 21, it's people that I did work that I worked with for a month at the bank. They were training at my branch and went back to their branch. They throwing me workshops now, 4-figure for an hour. Like, yeah, I need that. Like, but it's because of the relationships, and it's really because people know I'm serious. Like, it'd be weird, Kay, if you saw me, let's say 2 years from now, and I wasn't doing Abundance University.
Yeah.
Like, you would be like, what? Like,
I would have expected that. I would have expected that to grow into something else. You know what I mean? Like, you not doing it. If you're not doing it, that means you did. So you're doing something bigger and better. It would be weird, like you said.
It is. So it's like people know who I am, and like, again, like this is what I do. Like, I'm gonna do this regardless in some way. Like, if I'll work at a bank. If a bank pays me enough, I will work there doing this. Like, I don't care about the Abundance University as the brand. I care about my people learning and implementing financial education. So whatever role that is, you know, that's going to be me regardless. And I think some people get caught up in like they want their own brand because they just want to own something. But it's like the owner of $0, like that ain't beneficial. Like, go put yourself in a position where you can leverage some things. Like, it's hard, man. Look, man, if I told y'all the last 3 months of business and how it's been, like, it's crazy. But it's like, you know, you judge each day not by its harvest, but by the seed you sow into it. So it's like, no matter what, I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to double down on what I do know that's working. And eventually something has to happen. Like, that's the beauty about this, man. Like, when you stay consistent in something, it just gotta happen for you. You gotta have that faith. You gotta have people around you that's gonna hold you accountable, and you gotta have like tangible plan. Like, a lot of people write down a plan and it's the result of something, and it's not the actual like steps, right? So you trying to take a leap of faith, but not understanding the steps of faith. We got to take steps of faith. And then eventually we'll get to that destination that we're looking for. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. That sounds exactly what we're trying to build here on book 2. Just that routine, 100%. Those steps, building those good habits to the point where they're not goals, like you said, they're habits. They're things that you do every day. When people are trying to get healthy, a lot of people say, no, you're not dieting. You're changing your lifestyle. You're changing the way you eat. Like, This isn't a diet. This isn't something you're doing for 6 weeks and going back to trash. Like, let's change the way you actually live, right? Let me ask you about some financial stuff.
For sure.
What's the most frustrating thing that you see your clients fall victim to when it comes to their financial goals? Like, what's the one thing that you feel that people get in their own way when it comes to what?
Their mindset around spending versus saving. That's number one. We as people, we believe that we have spending habits, but we don't put that same energy towards having a savings habit. So we'll say, oh man, I got bad spending habits. But then I say, well, how do you save? Oh, saving. Again, going back to what you said, Kay, saving is not a goal. It is a habit.
Yeah.
If you treat it like a goal, you're going to feel like it's taking too long to do what you're trying to do. if you follow me online, I every month I try to every month at least.
Battery savings challenge.
You know what I was about to say, right? So I
Mhm.
do a battery savings challenge where I try to do it in the morning, hit people in the morning with it. And I say, if you reading this, whatever percentage your battery is, transfer that same amount into savings. And people, you know, it just sparks so much energy around saving, right? So some people, you know, they like, man, I just took my phone off the charger. I don't care. Put that 100 over there. Put that 50 over there. You feel me? And then some people, you know, they goofy, they trolling like, oh man, I ain't charged my phone. Eight is at 8. All right, we'll add another 0 on that thing. Or I'm like, or you know, depending on who it is. Because some people I know personally and I know they trolling. So I'll be like, put that 0 on it too. But some people are genuinely like, man, this was actually easier. Like, you told me to do this and I did it, but yet it's hard for me to save on my own. And again, it goes back to that mindset. You just gotta you gotta be Nike. You see what's behind me. First of all, I did these, FYI. But like,
to you, man.
But like, you just gotta do it. Like, no matter how much money you make, no matter how little the check is, you gotta save something. You get paid $100, put $1 up, put $10, whatever you can. That's gonna make you feel confident in everything that you do. Like, that's what you at the end of the day, saving has to be a habit. It cannot just be a goal. The goal is the amount. The habit is the activity that you're doing on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis of saving. That's number one. Number two is they are reaping the actual reward of having bad mismanaged finances in the past. Right. So that's what's stopping a lot of people. They made these decisions years ago and it's catching up to them. So it's hard to get out the hole, right? They messed their credit up and now they got so much debt and they feel like they're gonna always have this debt. And it's like, nah, you just gotta stop getting debt. Number one, stop using your credit card. Like, why can't we just chill for a minute, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't realize even getting Klarna and Afterpay, like that's expenses. Like,
that's regardless, it's a bad habit.
How you weigh it, no interest or like. If you got goals, you got to put your money where your goals are. You got to put your actions where your goals are. That's the bottom line. You can't get caught up in what's happening now. Like, I'm thinking about, like, when you look at it 10 years ago, it's something you look back and like, man, I did some things that, like, I really, if I can go back and change 10 years ago, it would kind of look different. That's how we got to think about 10 years from now. Like, what can I do now that's going to benefit 45-year-old Lawrence? Like you said, the eating habits, the savings habits, my workflow. Like, my workflow now is totally different than even a year ago. Like, I'm not stress eating no more. Like, because what part of the stress was my business. So now I'm like, look, do what you can. 4 tasks a day. Don't overthink it. Don't, like, you do 4 tasks. If you can't do nothing else, then you just can't do nothing else.
You said something very interesting that I want to touch on and have a conversation about. The mindset of saving has to be a habit, not a goal, right? And I think a lot of people, and not just with finances, but with everything, with a lot of things, right? You have a goal of something and you want it done now. You want it done right now. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about the battery challenge. For some people, all right, my phone's on 8%. It feels silly to move $8 to my savings account. I feel like I should only be saving $1,000. I should be having $1,000 that I move to my savings account. I should be having $500 that I move to my savings account, and kind of dismissing how that $10 a check, how that $20 a check, how just having a plan, and this is something you talk about a lot. Every time you get paid, you should have a plan for your money. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know if I was talking to you, Spike. I was talking to somebody. Yeah, I was talking to you, and I can't remember when it was, but I sat down and went through, and this is a nod to the episode title. I went through the previous month's bank statement and I added up how much money I spent on fast food or food that wasn't at the house. And I was disgusted by how much money, because you don't think about it at that time, right? You think, all right, I'm gonna go to Chipotle,
think
that's
about what I'm
12
gonna
bucks
go eat.
here. Yeah, this Chick-fil-A, I'm gonna get a little 12 bucks here. Or I might, might treat myself, whatever the case may be. Add that up for the month, $500, $600, $700 on top of the groceries that you have in the house, and maybe the fruits and vegetables that you let spoil because I'm too tired to cook. I'm just gonna go out and grab something real quick. How important, or what is the one thing that you think is imperative for the mindset of it doesn't matter how much you save and just get in that habit of saving? Do you feel like, hey, you'll learn, like once you get the habit of it, you'll learn and you'll probably appreciate more. Okay, then this is working. Now I can stop buying this and I'm gonna put that money towards my savings, so on and so forth.
Yeah, you gotta. It goes back to like what Eric Thomas talks about, right? Back in the day, how bad do you want it, right? How bad do you want the savings account to look a certain way? How bad do you want the new house, the new car, the vacation? How bad do you want to be debt free? Mm-hmm. Those things, like how bad do you want it, and then what are you willing to do to get there in a way that's gonna make you feel good about enjoying the fruits of today's labor, and then after 6 to 9 months of consistency, 12 months of like once you get there, and like that's what you got to do. And again, it goes back to like you trying to do something that you've never did before. Like you've never saved $1,000 in a month. Why are you about to try to start now? And then you get discouraged, or you did save $1,000, but you transferred $600 back. So you really only saved $400. So just save $400. That's $400 is still good every month. Like we just overcomplicate the process, and it's like, again, however much money you feel like you can save without it tapping into your lifestyle, your current lifestyle, that's what you should be doing. I say a minimum of whatever your phone bill is. My phone bill is $200. So that's my minimum every month. Like I'm doing that every month because my phone got to be on. Like, yo, I do too much on my phone. So that's what I say. Like, start there. And really is like, for those listening and watching, however much your phone bill is, how does that make you feel if you had to save that per month? If you're not saving it already, is it that might be too much, or you're like, oh, that ain't nothing? And then whatever the answer is, you just start to play off of that. Like, all right, well, why is it too much? Or if it is cool, well, start there and be consistent, and then add $10. Again, I'll go back to like when I went full time, and when I left the job, I had my 401k I needed to transfer over. So I sat down with my guy and I said, well, I want to transfer this amount, but I need to start contributing too. Like it's time to get to it. So I started off with $50 a month because Abundance University definitely where it's at now back then.
Right.
$50 a month. Then I got comfortable. Then the next time we met, all right, I can double it for $100 a month. That started going. Then I'm like, $200. Let's go. Start doing that. Double that. $400 a month. I'm feeling good. Now I'm at $575 a month, right? In my IRA. And I'm like, man, what is gonna feel like how can I make sure I can double this soon? Like, it's like, because again, I'm 35, bro. I'm not speaking to no kids at 55. Like, I'm not going to no kindergartners at 55. That don't even sound right.
Right.
My son or daughters might have kids and they might be in kindergarten. I ain't trying to I gotta go to. Nah, that ain't life for me. So I'm like, in my mind, I don't care how much I make or how little I make. I'm that $575 coming out. I just won't buy no J's this month, or I might, you know what I mean? Like I like it, like you said, there's food at home. I've been eating food up, man. Man, listen, bro. Like, hey, like I ain't that around, bro. Like, I don't really like some people just really overcomplicate it. They got too much pride, and pride don't pay bills, man. Productivity does. So you got to be productive, bro.
That's a really good point. Let me ask you for the people out there that maybe not they're not complicating it. They just aren't in the position. Like, let's say it's people listening where, because I really never hear financial advice or financial coaches give the advice to the person who is like, bro, I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul. Like, I'm trying to figure it out every time I get paid, and my job slick don't pay me enough. Like, what's the advice that you give to people in that situation where you like, they look at you when you say save, and they like, save, nigga, I had to skip a bill this month. Like,
that's
a great question.
I would say to them again, and it obviously it's case by case, but you really got to look at your activity per day. Like I ain't gonna, man, I got a homie. I ain't gonna, this my guy. I ain't gonna put his business out there or his info. We gonna stay.
No name, no blame.
No name, no blame.
True story, but we changed
my guy, a perfect example. Like, he in a situation of where he's struggling, right? But it's like you sleep in. Like you worried about trying to get certain, you feel like certain things gotta happen in order for you to like then go hustle. But it's like, no, you should wake up hustling because you are in the red. Like, and you got 5 kids. Like,
oh my God.
You have to, and your kids are getting more expensive. And that was one thing about me. I got 3 kids. I'm married, right? I know my kids are going to be more expensive as they get older. Like, they're going to have expensive problems. They're going to have expensive desires as they get older. Right now, I can give my daughters a t-shirt with a rainbow on it, and they be good to go for $5. But my daughter is turning 8 on Monday, and she also wants some Jordan 3s. So it's like, what you
good
think
she got good taste?
She got good taste. You see what hey, listen, man, raising them up right. but it's like, what that's gonna look like at 18. So I think we also have to plan. Again, it goes back to, you have to like really lock in. Like, all right, your job ain't paying you. How many applications did you fill out this week? Was it more than how many days it is in a week? Do you have relationships that you can call on to get extra work? Do you overspend in an area that you can cut back like temporarily? Like, because a lot of people, I know people that they still want to live how they've been living, even if their income has taken a hit. And it's like, nah, you gotta like lock in. And again, I think for me being an entrepreneur, like being real, I've had months where I didn't bring in bread. So it's like, I'm not about to, we about to have some free fun. We going to the park. We ain't going to Dave and Buster's. We going to the park. You feel me? Like, we still gonna have fun, right? Like, yeah, we might not go, like, date night might not be Jeff Ruby's and Carlo and Johnny's. It might be Longhorns, which I like Longhorns better anyway. Like, so it's like when we really take a look at like the expenses in our household, there's some things that can literally be cut out, but because it's part of our lifestyle, we have too much emotions around these things that don't benefit us. Like, we need internet in our house. We don't need every subscription. We need internet for work. Like, I don't need all the extra Hulu and Netflix and all of that. If I gotta get rid of that because I'm behind on something, bro, I might come out with 2 more books.
That's an easy decision, right? That's an easy decision at that point. It should be.
I ain't emotional when it comes to those things. Like, I'm emotional when it comes to me providing for my family. So it's like, I think some people, like there are some people that's in tough spots, but most of the time we created the tough spot. Most of the time we really can get out the spot. It's going to take longer than we wanted to. It's going to take us to do some things that we really don't want to do. Yeah, you might have to get up earlier. You might have to stay up later, but it's going to have to get done. Like, otherwise face the, and there are other resources out there too. I know here in Cincinnati, we have a lot of resources for people behind on bills and stuff like that. Like I got a homie, man, I think he was behind. They paid like 3 months of his rent. Like his rent ain't like, it wasn't in the thousands.
It ain't that 475.
It definitely ain't that 475. You hear me? So it's like, you just got to use your resources. That's where I like, man, the relationships, you got to really start making them calls. Like right now, bro, like that money ain't coming in fast right now. School just started. Our biggest school district is in a double-digit $1 million deficit, right? Cincinnati Public School, that was one of my biggest clients last year. They ain't knocking at my door right now. I got to knock on theirs. So it's like, I gotta get on the phone. I was texting, catching up with old schools that I work with. It's like, you gotta lock in, because it's like, I'm like, I need that new house. Like my wife want to be out of here a year from today. My wife want a new house. Now I'm gonna do everything I can to do it, but I'm not gonna make no dumb decision and do something that I really can't afford. So I'm just very patient. I'm real with myself, and I'm real with the work. It's a lot of work right now, man. Our grandparents and parents ain't have to deal with what we got to deal with. Number one, they ain't got to deal with the prices. Number two, they ain't got to deal with the distractions. They did have to deal with civil rights and stuff. I give them that. I don't know how we would be with that. But from just trying to build your kingdom, bro, like, man, there's so many expenses. Like when you really write down your expenses, like what goes out of your household every month, it is a lot. And I don't think we don't really look at it like that. Like when you itemize what's coming out, and then you look at, man, I'm only getting paid twice a month. I get paid twice, but I got to spend money 30.
Yeah.
Crazy. So you gotta, like, people just gotta, you gotta really kind of get to a point where you are being proactive. And yeah, it's gonna take you out your comfort zone, man. Like and that's okay. Like, because you want the life you want. Like again, I want like 40-year-old Lawrence. I got 5 years. I got less than 5 years to get, to where I want to be. And it's like I'm making shifts in my business. I'm making shifts in my in my health. Like I'm over here eating vegan cheese, like real, and it's good too. Like it ain't the one that don't melt. Like it's like I'm over here eating, like cashew milk. It's made with cashew milk. Like what? Like I ain't one thing about no cashew milk 5 years ago, but it's like right. I want to be around. Like let's be real. I want to be around. I want to be physically right. I want to be mentally right. It's just a lot, man. And I think we undermine it because we get on social media and see everybody just doing fun stuff. But it's like, man, you also see people struggling and asking for prayers. So it's like you gotta take the good with the bad, but you gotta understand like certain things in your life is meant for you to overcome. Like challenges are to be overcame. Like, and we don't have to struggle. We just have to work. You know what I mean? And like, I think people confuse struggle with resistance. Like it's not a struggle. It's not going to be easy. Like it's not going to just, I ate good for a week. I should be down 5 pounds. Like, no, it don't. Your body don't work like that.
Right. Instant gratification that you want those results right now.
You want it right now. It might take you 4 or 5 years, and you got to be willing to you got to have patience and you got to have speed. Like,
yeah,
that's it.
It's probably one of the most terrifying things too, folks. That great breakdown in that people get comfortable. I think Rich and I was talking about this. People get in that zone and they're like, fuck it, it is what it is. versus you got to work, bro. Like if it mean you got to go, I'm struggling. That mean you got to go work a little 5 to 10 job. You got to do some Ubering or DoorDashing or some shit like that. Like now you don't want to do it, but if you want to change shit, like you have to accept that this is where we at. I think a lot of people struggle accepting with where they at.
Mm-hmm.
To your point, Spike, I think it is it's very telling that people aren't aware of what their situation is, right? Like that, I think that's a big part of it. And I want to ask you about that, Lawrence. Because I even we talked about at the beginning, us working the Jazz Fest. Like, in neither things could always be better, but things ain't awful, right? In regard to my life.
Yeah.
I don't have to work the Jazz Fest, but why wouldn't I work it? Right?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't I do that? Like, why wouldn't I take that? And even if that's just something I say, hey, I ain't gonna touch this, but I knew I have a plan for this money.
Yeah.
Right. This might go to something else, or this might go to the savings or something like that, or the rainy day fund or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
You talk a lot, and I love the way you broke it down because it makes sense and it makes it more real. Kind of, I don't want to say scary, but it makes it more real when you look at it. I get paid twice a month, but I'm spending 30.
Yep.
Like where did math that? How that add up? Like how am I keeping things in balance? One of the things, and I want to talk about something tangible that people listening can kind of take with them is, I mentioned it before. You're big on every time I get paid, I should have a plan for this money.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I listen to you talk, and you're talking about 40-year-old Lawrence and where I'm going to be in 5 years. How much of your time do you spend just sitting down and planning and visualizing what your future looks like? And not only what it looks like, but what do I need to do to get there? Because I think that's a big step that a lot of people don't look at. Because a lot of people live in that here today, going tomorrow mentality, right? I might not be here 5 years from now, so I'm just going to ball out while I'm here. But yeah, most times than not, you are going to be here 5 years from now. You have nothing to show for the past 5 years. Right. The great Christopher Wallace, Biggie, one of my favorite rap lyrics is being broke at 30, give a nigga the chills, right? That gives me the chills. Like just being a grown man and not being one of those 59% of Americans who doesn't have $1,000 for emergency expenses, or even worse, those 27% of Americans who literally have zero savings. Like whatever's in my bank account, whatever's in my pocket right now is all I have to my name. And we talk about there's a certain transition when you get to your early to mid 30s of that, like, oh, I'm an adult. And Lawrence, you probably felt it earlier because you have children, you have people to provide for, but there's certain things where you're like, yo, if something happens, I'm responsible for getting us out of this. I'm responsible for making something shake. Mm-hmm. Like how much of your time goes into planning and making sure, like, you know what, I'm cool with skipping cinema, or we passed like really the going out phase, but I'm cool with skipping this event, or I'm gonna have to miss that event, or I'm gonna have to push that trip back because I'm not in the financial space of where I be. Versus, hey, I could take this trip and here's what I'll do. I'll go get a quick payday loan for X amount of dollars, or I'm going to buy my outfits on Clarendon and Afterpay to pay for this trip. And you already behind the 8 ball when you're doing that, right? Like if I got to borrow money, if I can't pay for something up front and I plan on spending more money while I'm out somewhere, like am I going to have enough money for rent or mortgage when I get back? Like all of that is just, it seems like the mentality is messed up. How important is planning when it comes to your actual success financially?
For sure. A big part of it is from an individual standpoint, I visualize it a lot, man. I really try to plan my day around like, okay, what seeds can I sow? Because the beauty of the when we really look at, the parable of the talents, and when you look at a farm, right? Some people ain't religious, that's cool. Let's just look at a farmer, right? When you look at them planting seeds, they don't know which one is gonna grow and gonna be good seed.
Mm-hmm.
But they gotta plant it. You know what I mean? They still gotta do it. So for me, every day I'm not trying to waste it. I get my rest in and all of that good stuff, but like I'm very strategic on, like, I know what I want my life to look like, but then I know the financial ramifications. Like I think we don't really count the cost on what 40-year-old Lawrence is gonna look like. Like I know what I'm spending now. I know it's gonna probably triple in 5 years because I know what type of trips I want to take. Like you said, I know what 5 years from now, my oldest will be 18. Like senior year, oh, my boy gotta be like, he gonna be on that. Like, well, he gonna be out of school by then. Matter of fact, 5 years from now, but like, man, like life gonna be different. Like my youngest gonna be 10. Like life gonna look totally different, man. And I think, having good is really about the habits. Like, okay, what are my good habits? Again, I'm saving money. I need to increase that more because again, I know I'm gonna eventually dip into that savings to get this house. I know we're gonna have to furnish the house. I know our mortgage is gonna quadruple, literally. Like I'm not being like dramatic when I say that. Our mortgage, we got our house when interest rates was low, and like our house was not even $150,000, and it's a decent little house. Like our mortgage right now ain't even $1,000, and it increased.
Lucky.
You know what I'm saying? Like I know I'm lucky. Like I know. Yeah. So, but again, I know what type of house I want, and that house costs way more than what I'm in now. So I know that right now. So I'm visual. Like, okay, I know we know what type of houses we looking at. We know what type of cost that comes with that. So okay, well, what does business need to look like? I trap like this where I'm at. I'm in my home office. Like I do most of my work here, or I go to coffee shops. 5 years from now, I want a real headquarters. Like I call this the headquarters, but like I want a real building where like kids gonna get bused to us, and we gonna do programming. Families gonna come and get, all right, your kid, the teenagers gonna sit in this class and get this work while the adults getting they work. Like that's the vision that I got. Like, so I plan it. And then from like a financial standpoint with my wife, we have marriage meetings every month. And part of the marriage meeting is talking about our finances. So we have a Google sheet that we shared, and it has everything that we got to spend. And then we talk about the big purchases. We talk about the debt. We're currently working on our debt snowball. So matter of fact, we meet this weekend. I got to make sure she made that extra payment to the debt that we said we was going to put it on this month, and just keep it pushing. But it's like, it's a simple check-in at this point. But I think you have to have those conversations. When me and my wife first got together, we had 2 separate accounts. Like she ain't know what was in mine. I ain't know what was in hers. We were on one accord as far as these bills better be paid. Like, but
right,
we had everything separate, and it worked until it didn't. Right, and it wasn't anything that happened where it had to change. Like my wife just wanted us. All right, we married now. Like we weren't married when we first moved in, but once we got married and got our house, she was like, "Yeah, I want us to have joint accounts. Say less, like whatever gonna make sense for you, because we in this forever." So those things, I just think having that foundation of like good habits, good vision, good clarity on what you want and the costs that come with that, and then what do you need to do from a financial standpoint? Again, you might need to change jobs. I know somebody that was in like insurance claims or something like that. She transferred to cybersecurity, bro. She said she got paid and ain't even touched the money from the last check. Like this, something she just posted on Twitter. Like, shout out my girl. Like, so it's like, what if she would have stayed doing what she was doing? She wouldn't be able to do that. Like now she get to save money more, pay off more debt, because now her income has, I don't know where it is. We ain't had a conversation offline, but like I'm pretty sure it's significant difference, like in a good way. So it's like you just gotta like get out of your own way as far as how you think it should look. Like you got to be firm on getting there, not how you gonna get there, right?
It's funny you say that, because that's a money hack, right? A lot of people don't know, and this is something you talked about earlier, as far as like, yeah, you might be, Spike, you asked a question about the person who like, bro, I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? And the answer to that is, hey, I need to start looking at other things, whether it be I need to get a third shift Amazon job, whether I need to start doing Uber, whatever the case is, to just bring some extra income in. One of the hacks that a lot of people, they probably know, but it almost goes to what you were talking about, Lawrence, where when they fired you, they freed you. Just that security of, I have this consistent money coming in, so I'm just going to stay here. Where companies, man, they want you to stay because it's cheaper to keep you than it is when you stay around and your performance evaluation comes and they give you that raise. They still saving money because if they hired outside, that's going to be a lot more to get somebody there. And sometimes you need to look out. You'll be surprised. You might be doing the same exact thing, but look at a different company and they paying you a third more or 2/3 more. And you like, hold up, like what? And now you have some leverage and something to gain back. I want to ask you something, because this is something that when I look around as a 37-year-old and I look at the people I know, unfortunately, I don't know a lot of people who own, right? Whether it be homes, whether it be property, the most thing people own is their car. Like, I got a car, I ain't got no note, right? I got the title to this and that's it. But you talk about home ownership, and we all know home ownership, real estate, that's a big play when it comes to financial freedom.
Yeah.
What is it that you see that is a detriment as to why there aren't more Black people? And I don't know the numbers, I don't have in front of me, but why maybe Black people in our age range, I don't know if they don't know how to buy a home or what goes into that. But it seems to be a lot more, I'm renting, less ownership. Based off what you do and the people you see, and what do you think attributes to that? And how can we fix it?
I think one of the main things right now, if we're talking 2024,
interest rates, and
the pandemic shifted everything. People were about to buy, and then pandemic happened, and they stayed put, and then everything spiked up, right? So homes that was costing $150,000 in 2020. Now them 250 people, it's a bidding war. Like, I ain't about to I know people that literally have put in bids for houses and got outbidded by like 50,000 more over asking price.
Yeah.
So it's like that's part of it. Another part, like you said, interest rates are high. But a lot of people they value the flexibility that renting does. Right now, obviously you can't decorate it how you want and stuff like that, but like, if you want to move across country, you ain't got to worry about selling no house. You want to take a trip, as long as your rent paid, you good. You ain't got to cut no grass. There's a lot of extra expenses that come with the house, right?
Home ownership, yep.
Maintenance, your washer and dryer go out. Oh, you gotta, you know what I mean? Now, some people got washer and dryer hookup in their apartments, but like that, you know what I mean? Like that's cool. But like being a homeowner, you got home insurance, and you got just all these things that some people just don't want. And then, it's generational, right? Like a lot of people that didn't grow up in the house, most of the time they not going to get a house. Like I know people that their parents never got houses, been on government assistance, and they don't want no house. And I'm cool, right? Even me, I really didn't want a house. I didn't think I was going to be in the house until I, it got a family, and my wife was like, yeah, I really want a house. And I'm like, let's get it. So, a lot of times we get into places where, you kind of make the decision based on like, is this really worth it? Again, there's a lot of talk online where it's like, man, getting a house and getting a car right now seems like a bad decision. Like it seems like a bad decision right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but at the same time, again, it's leverage. You can always sell the house. You can always sell the car. It may not be you might lose a little bit of money, but at the end of the day, you want it. Some people don't care about generational wealth. I know it's a hot topic in our community, being wealthy and generational wealth and all of that. Everybody ain't after that. And I like to take a look at like a point of view. We watch sports. You look at Carmelo Anthony and you look at LeBron James. Carmelo was getting ridiculed like he said he was going to be the greatest of all time. Like he wanted to have all the championships. He ain't say none of that. But guess what? Carmelo is a bad boy, and he great,
Mm-hmm.
but he just ain't in the conversation as LeBron and the other people who people think GOATs are like. But ain't nothing wrong with that, right? It's like, so I can be in my apartment, for however long, and I can be happy. Like, I'm happy with my role. I don't need to, get into real estate. I don't need to get into crypto. Like, some people don't care about that. They just care about being comfortable. And really, it's about financial happiness. What makes you happy financially? Is it owning? Is it flexibility? Is it I just want to be able to buy stuff when I want to? That's success. And we got to stop putting our version of success on other people. If you look at what I talk about online, I'm never saying if you do this, you stupid. If you not doing this, you ain't really doing this. Like, I don't talk like that because that's not reality for people. Like, everybody doesn't want what you want, and you can't play. Now, if there's people that's like-minded, now we can have them conversations. Like, what are you after? Again, if you're trying to be debt free, there's a ton of people that have that mindset, and they have literature to back it up. But there's some people that don't care about being debt free.
Mm-hmm.
They don't subscribe to it, so you can't try to convince them to do something that they don't want to do. So, that's the big thing. And then again, we just don't come from like that lineage of, again, people. Like, our culture was taken away from us. Our ownership was stripped of us. You look at Black Wall Street, you look at these towns that they literally didn't even like us having our own stuff. So it's like, that plays a big factor in like in what we see now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we ain't too far removed from those things that was happening. Like, Tulsa happened in 1921. That was a little over 100 years ago.
Right.
Like, I just saw something on Twitter. Some police officer just beat these men down in Mississippi. We don't know what's going on in the South. Like, we ain't far removed from these things. So it's just up to us to, number one, get our house in order and what happiness looks like for us, and then support others in their journey without judgment. That's the main thing. Like, I ain't a financial coach, and I ain't to tell you like you better do it like this. I'm helping you along the way. Like, all right, how do you think the best way? Here go the options. These the ramifications. And at the end of the day, I'm gonna try to hold you accountable the best way I can. But to make you do something that you don't even want to do, like, you ain't about to stress me out on your finances. Like,
that's fair. That's fair. I want to. Spike, were you gonna say something? My bad.
No, I was just saying you're right.
August 28th, 2019. A Black woman gave birth to me. A Black woman chose me to be her husband. A Black woman told me I can be whatever I want to be. A Black woman told me to start my company so we can build our community up. A Black woman will always be safe around me because I've always been safe around a Black woman. When I say invest in Black women, it's personal. And I challenge every man reading this to make sure we value our Black women just as much as they value us. That's a post from Lawrence Kane Jr. If you're watching on YouTube, you see his hoodie. He has a brand, Invest in Black Women. It's got a dope VP Kamala Harris merch right now. Young Kamala with the Invest in Black Women around it. Obviously, I just read that post from you, so I know why it's important to you. But what was it that made you wake up one day and say, this is something that I need to pour into the community and make a brand and a message? Why was that so important to you, Lawrence?
I think the main thing was I wanted to have my own merch on while I was speaking. That was the main thing. And I kept saying like, okay, but it got to be, I'm not the, I know how to design. Y'all see, I know how to draw type of stuff, but I'm like, I just need something that represent like really how I feel. And, obviously Abundance University, we got the There's Food at Home t-shirt on there on the website, but Invest in Black Women just really came from my just how I felt. Like I feel like every success that I've encountered is because of a Black woman. Like my love for Black women is embedded in my spirit, because since I was young, they've always invested in me. They always told me that they believed in me, you know, from my family members to Black women in the community to my Black teachers to, you know, my wife. I've been knowing my wife since the 5th grade, and, you know, we got together after, you know, we became grown. So it's like, man, invest in Black women. And really, if you see, like, obviously, if you're watching, like, the invest doesn't have a dollar sign. So this is not just about finances. This is about investing what you can, resources, love, protection, all of the above, right? And doing it without expecting anything in return. That's the thing, right? Because when we think of traditional investing, there's an ROI, right?
Mhm.
That you're after. I'm not after an ROI when it comes to Black women and me investing in them. So I get to be able to support Black women in a way that they don't feel like I'm after anything. There's no hidden agenda. And I wear this proud wherever I go. You feel me? Like, I don't care where I'm at. Like, I'm wearing Invest in Black Women merch. And I would love more Black men to join me in this. You know, I mean, and we put on Invest in Black Women business summits. And in that summit, it's literally all Black women. We get a Black woman photographer to give all of the women their professional headshots, because a lot of us just don't have professional headshots. So we're using selfies as our profile picture on LinkedIn, like, or a low res picture. So it's like every Black woman is going to get a headshot that comes to the summit. The panels that we have, all Black women. The moderator, Black woman. The host, Black woman. Before, we were using a Black woman event space. We were using Black women caterers. Like, everything Black women, and we invest in them. And we gave away money to our first one we did. We were able to give away, we gave away $3,000 in grant money. And that was out of Abundance University's pocket. Like, that came out of my revenue pool. And it's like, I don't expect nothing in return, man. Like, I just believe in Black women just as much as they believe in me. And I wanted to have something that I can wear that represented that, and that was that conversation start on, like, because some people that I was just talking to somebody the other week, and they thought it was my wife's brand and I was just supporting her. And I'm like, nah, this all me. Don't get her no credit. You know what I mean? But again, it really is her, because it's like, my wife is
That
my
was
everything.
the basis of it.
And
the
yeah,
basis
the
of
basis
it.
of it is, like, when I think of investing Black women, I do think of Ashley Kane. I do think of Nico Jeffries. That's my mama. I do think of my grandmoms and my great grandmamas and my aunties and my, you know, I think of Dr. Robin Martin, who was the reason why I started Abundance University. You know, she is somebody who has poured into me. She didn't know me. I ran into Dr. Robin Martin because of Sankofa Brotherhood. And she was the one that challenged us to create business plans that helped the community and was able to employ community. Like, you know, 95% of my audience is Black women. So it's like, it just made a lot of sense. You know what I mean? And, you know, Abundance University, the majority of our facilitators are Black women. Like, the majority of our interns that we get are Black girls. So it's like, we really do this. Like, I really do this without having a brand. So it was like, you know, the Invest in Black Women merch, you know, the hoodies, the t-shirts, the jackets. Like, I mean, they're simple, but it's like, it's the statement, like, this what we own, and we gonna do this, period. Like, this ain't This ain't just because George Floyd died or anything like that, or Sandra Bland. Like, this ain't got nothing to do with the catastrophes that happen in our community. This is a genuine love and allyship because our community is stronger when our Black women are held up.
Yeah, we don't have to just celebrate people just because of the downtimes. We can just celebrate them just because it's a Monday or because it's a Wednesday or whatever the case is. That's very well said. Yeah. Means a lot to us, man. And I think that's I love that brand, and I love that post, and I just posted on my story today on Instagram. Like, the best people I know are Black women. And
right. Not even, I think you had it was that Ryan Clark video.
The Ryan Clark, yep.
Somebody sent me that this morning. I was working out. You know, I get it in the morning, and somebody sent it to me like, you will love this. Like, and I was listening to it while I was working out. And I'm like, yeah, like this that energy, like, bro, like when you come from it and you like really understand like the value that Black women have in this world, like it's not measurable, bro. Like, there's no other group of people that do what needs to be done every single time, like, and what they had to endure and what they continue to have to endure, pay inequality and, you know, sexual assault, and not feeling like they're protected with that. Like, it's so much stuff that happened, man. And there's so many women that tell me stuff that happened. I'm like, as a Black man, I can't even imagine, but you go online and you see people like going against each other, like Black men got it worse than Black women. Like, that stuff stupid. Like, that ain't the internet don't be real sometimes. Like, I don't think y'all go outside like, or y'all got real friends or something. Like, it's so much more to talk about, man, and how we can be better. Like, and that's what I want to do. Like, I don't get into the goofy debates. I got people that be like, like, I got Black men that be like, what about investing Black men?
Investing Black men.
You know, investment, bro. Go get you some money, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, white women. What about white women? Like, I ain't got nothing for you, bro. Like, I don't be tripping. Like, I don't have to prove nothing. I ain't gotta explain myself. I love Black women. I'm gonna invest in Black women until the day I die, and I pray that eventually what's gonna happen is I have an endowment for Black women to be able to tap into after I die. So that's the stuff that I'm on. Like, I'm really after generational, like wealth, and not even wealth from like a monetary standpoint, but I'm after generational impact. Like, you gonna know, like, in 8 generations, I want people to still know my name. Like, that's what people don't realize. Like, that's what I'm after. So I don't do it for people that know me right now. I'm doing it for the people that's gonna come after me. Like, I want my grandkids to know who Lawrence Kane was. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's where, you know, the legacy piece come from me, because, you know, I got a famous cousin. And
yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
So my famous cousin was on the TV show, and it was about ancestry. And she found out who our great-great-great-grandfather was. His name was Moses Crosby. And he was in the South teaching Black people how to read when it was illegal. And I come from that, bro. Like, that's crazy. Yeah, like, because my aunt was like, you know, it ain't a coincidence why you do what you do.
Do what you do, yeah.
Like, what you mean? She like, watch this. Go turn this on. Your cousin was on this show, and I want you to watch it. And I watched it, and I was like, I was in tears, bro. Like, man, like, what he had to endure. And you know, the KKK put a hit out on it. It's a deep story. I ain't gonna tell it all, but like, man, like, that's my family, that's my lineage. Like, yeah, man. I got, and again, I may not never, like, my great grandkids will never meet me, but they gonna know who I am. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't gonna take a special video because my cousin was, you know, famous. Like, if my cousin wasn't famous, I wouldn't even have known that. You know
who was your cousin?
Regina King.
Ah, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I remember the story that you're talking about now. Yeah, I seen that. Like, yeah, I watched it.
Man, like, I like, everybody don't get that benefit of being able to go back that far in a family. So like, I'm trying to like, all right, we go back, we gonna still keep trying to go back, but like, man, my family gonna be able to see this, and that's the beauty about this. Like, they might see this interview, like that's so dope to me. Like, what? Like they gonna be able to see how I looked, how I talked, what I was on while I was here. Like that's so dope to me, and that's why I love content creation. Like, it's bigger than just trying to do something now. It's like, bro, people in my family that ain't gonna never meet me gonna be able to like, they ain't gotta visualize and picture who I was. Like, they get to actually see us on video and like, and it ain't no AI. It ain't AI.
And you have, and that, you know what, when you say it like that, that's dope. Just because I think about right now, man, how incredible it would be if technology was like it is now, 200 years ago. Well, maybe not too far back, but you know, 1940s, 1950s, and I was able to just meet one of my great granddads and just see, like you said, it's not necessarily about knowing the story, but being able to see a video and see how you are and see how you spoke and the values that you had. And I'm not hearing it from second account. I'm hearing it from you directly. I think that's pretty incredible. As we get ready to wrap this up and kind of land this plane, first and foremost, I can't thank you enough for your time, for your knowledge, for the jewels. And you have a great social media presence. It's funny because we was at the Jazz Fest, right? This is before anybody was even in there. Gates weren't even open yet. We chopping it up with Ricky Smiley. You know what I'm saying? We chopping it up with Ricky Smiley, and it's me, you, and maybe 3 other people. It's a very small group. And I'm sitting there, and this is very simple, very small. Lawrence, you were the only one that had the presence of mind to like, let me get a picture. Because I have a brand, and I know this can do something for my brand. And I'm sitting there, we chopping it up, just regular, dap them up, and don't, call it a day. And I'm thinking to myself, like, dang, I should have got a picture too. And I see how you were navigating that weekend with the people that we saw and the thousands of people that we literally interacted with throughout that time. And you just seeing an opportunity of, hey, not only am I getting paid for this, but I can also help my brand and my business by interacting with all these people. You with the CSU cheerleaders. There was a young lady who was a singer that you were able to connect with, all types of things. If you were to give, no matter if it's building your brand, no matter if it's financial planning, if you were to give your top pieces of advice, something tangible for people to say, hey, I know nothing about building a brand. I know nothing about savings or financial, literacy. What would be some of the things that you say right now, tonight, as you listen to this podcast, start doing this today?
That's a good question.
That's a very good question, bro. It's a very good question. That's why you got the mic, man. You do what you do well. Advice that I would give to somebody, the main thing is you have to believe in yourself to the point that you know that eventually it will happen. Like, we believe in ourselves, but then we say that to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. Believe in yourself to the point where you know it gotta happen. Like, the brand that you want, the breakthrough that you after, it can be something emotional. You're dealing with some mental issues, family trauma, whatever work that you have to do in order for it to like come about. Believe in yourself. Don't believe in nobody else. Don't believe in anything but you. And you will wake up with a different type of spirit. You will wake up with a different energy, and you will be someone that people will notice how locked in you are by that belief system. I have a belief system so big right now that everybody around me I can tell them anything. I can tell them, yeah, I'm gonna be a billionaire tomorrow. People will believe that. That's how much belief I got it. Like if I'm saying it out loud, they know I believe it. Like I don't say nothing that come out my mouth that I don't believe. And the crazy thing is if I say anything out my mouth around other people, they believe it just as much because they know that I believe in myself before anything. So believe in yourself and bet on yourself. I bet on myself, and and I ain't even cashed in yet. Like we having this conversation, we've been recording for an hour and a half. I ain't even, man, y'all. I don't feel like I scratched the surface yet on my potential. I really, and that's something I truly believe. Like,
and I feel that's relatable to like Spike Lewis, the good brother with us, because you've been in this space for so long, and there's so many people, man, that would just say, "All right, I'm done. Like I tried, I gave it my best, I'm done. Like I got what I needed to out of it," or the opposite, I haven't got what I need and it's taking too long, and whatever the case is. But I believe that about both of you. I always say that about Spike, man. Like just I admire how much you just almost delusional. Not you in a sense, but when you talk about that, I'm talking about that belief that Lawrence is talking about. Like you have to believe it to the point where, like, it doesn't even cross your mind that this can't happen.
That this ain't gonna work. Yeah,
that's
not working ain't even an option, right?
Yeah. Like when people ask me, because as I'm getting more in this space, and you know, I've 5-6 podcasts, people are like, well, what's your, like, you ever worry about, you know, how long are you going to do this, or how long are you going to do this before you have to see some kind of benefit before you put? I'm like, that doesn't even what? Like, what are you talking about?
It just can't stay in here. It can't stay in here, bro. It got to go somewhere. Like that's the thing. You can't strip yourself from seeing how far it's gonna go. Like I'm not about to just sit on these ideas and these topics that I think about, that I want to get out into the world, because again, you just never know who is going to touch, impact, like, you know what I mean? Like it is one of those things. It made me think when you just said that, the delusional part, Rich, you made me think of the Emperor's New Clothes. Remember that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how you gotta be, bro. You gotta be walking. Everybody like, bro, got
this nigga know who's this?
Got no clothes. Like he swear he was Mr. Put It On and ain't even have it on.
Right.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So I think like with Rich and Skip, like, man, the belief system, it can't nobody make you believe in you like you.
Facts. One of the best quotes I heard about that I always think about, it's like similar to what both of y'all were just saying. It ain't even really about the destination, though we have these places that we want to go, but you never know where the journey is going to take you. Like someone asking you, well, when would you stop, or what do you want to get to? You could go down a path while doing this. You're like, damn, I ain't even imagined that it could went to here. Like you're talking about, oh, I started doing podcasting, and you look up however many years later, oh, this dude is the head of a media division at whatever place, or he teaches media at this university. And then you go back and look at it, like you just said, you shorten yourself by saying, oh, I want to do this. I want to do podcasts, and this is how I go. Of course, you need the goals. Of course, you need the plans, and that's 100%. You have to plan it out, but you got to really be present on the journey and understand, like, I don't know where this can take me, but I know I'm locked in.
That's true.
So,
that's true. Yeah. You hit it on the head. Like, you just never know what conversation is gonna happen in the future. Like, I promise you, I was just talking to my homie. I never, like, $1 million a year. That wasn't something I thought about when I first started this. Like, now I'm like, that's about to be easy. If I'm figuring out formulas. I'm like, we about to have some new products. I'm like, I can make 200,000 here, 200,000 here. I'm just like picking it apart. Like, all right, well, we can do this, and then I can charge this for speaking at that point. Then you saw I was in the New York Times, so I'm like, I can leverage that now. Like, I never, like, the New York Times just
talk about that real quick. What was that like? What was that like? That moment?
Hey man, listen. The New York Times happened out of like I was chilling, get an email with an introduction, and you ain't thinking like I'm like the New York Times like is this
spam?
like
Yeah,
not even spam because it was like somebody relationships. Somebody knew me and knew the person from the New York Times and connected us because he was doing a story. So I'm like New York Times. I ain't thinking. I promise I'm not thinking none of it. Then we get on the phone call. He interviewed me for an hour. I'm airing, he like really intrigued with my story, and I'm telling him stuff, and I ain't think, again, you do these interviews, and I've done stuff in the past. I'm just like, hey, I just like sharing my story, and I love when people know about me that don't know about me. It just give me happiness. But then when he starts saying like, hey, it's about to get published next week, we need to get you some pictures. Like, I got my photographer, he about to call you. I'm like, you want pictures? Like, I just got back in town too. Like, I was out of town, I was on a family vacation. So we go, I said, oh, you got to meet me at North College Hill. We took pictures outside of my alma mater. So we take the pictures on the Saturday. Then that was the Saturday, or that was the weekend that Kamala, that was when Joe Biden announced that he was stepping out. He was, and then Kamala stepped in. That's when we did the merch and all of that, right? So I'm in work mode. I'm not even like, but he was like, yeah, we gonna do it this day because of the Joe Biden news. We don't want it to get lost in the sauce. I'm like, cool, whatever, bro. I'm in my car. I'm about to go into a store. I get the email. He say, this the link to the publication. Man, I clicked that, bro. I saw my face. I saw New York Times first. I see my face. I said, man, what? Like, it was just such a surreal moment. Like, man, I send it to all my, I send it to my people. Then I make the post on, I posted it everywhere. I'm like, oh yeah, like this crazy, bro. I wouldn't have never thought that. I'd have been on the news. I can get on the news anytime because I know these people. Like, I really know the anchors. Like Sheila Gray, she was the first person to put me on the news 10 years ago. Like, and she just put me on the news this year when I dropped the children's book. Like, that's different. But like New York Times, bro, I ain't never even been to New York yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going for my 40th to watch the ball drop. Like, that's the only time I really want to go to New York or to get paid to go. But like, it was just amazing, bro. And I think, again, it made, again, I still got my grandparents on my dad's side, my dad and mom seen it. And, it's just one of those things, man, you made people proud. Like, bro, when we was at the
Jazz Fest,
at the Jazz Fest, there's people coming up to me talking about that. I'm like, bro, I'm just here to the samples over there. But what up though? Like, it was just it was a cool piece, man. So it was just dope and just really, it's mind blowing, bro. Even talk about it. Like, I sometimes forget that those things happen because I really just value the work. Like, I don't care about no recognition. I promise you I don't. I care about this work. I care about 10 years from now, the kids that I'm working with now being able to show me like, hey, I got 100 racks in the bank, like, thanks to you. Like, and I don't need none of theirs because I got my own. Like, I just want that. Like, that's what I'm after. So
that's just reminded
system, man.
That just reminded me of a Nip lyric, man. I ain't really trip on the credit. I just paid all of my dues.
All of my dues, hustle and motivate.
Man. Yeah, man. You feel me? And literally, that whole lyric is you. I just followed the game. Now my name all in the news. Like, that's a perfect embodiment. I'm my fault. I had to ask you one thing that I meant to ask you earlier. And this is something I think as an entrepreneur, I would love to get your take on. Because one of the biggest things about stepping out there on your own is knowing how to value your worth. All right. I have a brother who was an incredible artist and has done murals. He's been in California, LA, had people hire him to come draw murals. And I never forget, he was telling me the story. A dispensary flew him out to Los Angeles. him and his wife went out, and he's drawing it, and I guess the big wigs are there. And I forget how much he charged them for it, but he heard as he's drawing, he heard those big wigs kind of say, "Can you believe he's only doing this for X amount of dollars?" And that was like a light bulb moment for him. Like, damn, like I just never, I don't know my worth. And I look at you and your brand because you make a lot of posts and you have a very funny way of doing it. But pretty much the people who try to get the game, and then, you know, you got 2 or 3 questions before I start sending this invoice over. Because now this is something, and it's not and I'll use my own experience. When I first started podcasting, there were a lot of people who would come up to me and say, "Hey, you got some time to set aside so I can meet with you? I have this idea. I want to do this. I want to do that." And me being who I am, like, nah, you got a dream. I'm going to help you out. That's a look, right? Cool, I got you. But on the flip side, it's like, hold on, man. There's something here that you can actually build on and probably monetize. Yeah. And it's not necessarily about I don't want to help. I am helping you, but I also should be paid for this knowledge and this service. How important is it or when did you actually find that fine line of I love my community, I'll do everything for y'all versus I still have a business and I need this, my worth, the knowledge that I'm giving you is worth X amount of dollars. How did you differentiate that and how did you make that work for you?
My bills.
Easy enough.
and to them, I can pay them with exposure, then we can talk. But like, that ain't. I mean, and I'll say that jokingly, but I will say this: I had a mentor. I have a mentor. His name is Al Riddick. He does exactly what I do, but he is. He Jordan. I'm Kobe. You know what I'm saying? I'm a carbon copy of Al, man. But Al sat me down this before I wrote my first book, and he gave me a book recommendation. It's called Value-Based Fees by Alan Weiss. Alan is ALAN, not like the regular Alan we used to. Alan Weiss. You can find this book on Amazon. But this book really broke down how to convey your value and understanding how you don't tell people what you do. You tell people the value that you bring them. So that was a big like shift, right? Because it's like, yeah, I do financial literacy. Like, no, I teach people how to create financial happiness in a way nobody else can. That's what I do. You after some financial happiness, come see me. But like that's one of those things that I would recommend people reading that are looking to charge things, but also look at what the market is paying, right? Like there's people, like it's a lot of people that's publicly showing checks and all type of stuff, you know, and talking about that. So and you know, interview people that you're trying to, you know, have as clients. Like what is the going rate for XYZ? Like how much are these murals? Like your buddy that's an artist, he could have contacted people that do other murals in Cali and was like, you know, because you said they flew him out, right? So they're used to paying California prices while he is used to charging Ohio
prices. Yep.
Nah, bro, I'm going there. I'm gonna need a little bit, you know. Again, when we reach out to schools, if I gotta drive or fly, I'm charging you way more than I do UC. Like,
absolutely.
UC
fair point.
Down the street. Like, I gotta hop on the plane. You either paying for that or I'm gonna take you. I'm leaving here with something. You heard Denzel?
Straight up. Spike Lou, before we get out of here, do you have any last words, any lasting thoughts?
You know, I think that was wonderfully put, my brother. You put on a masterclass of telling people about what you do and also how they get benefits from it. So well said. Well done.
Thank you, man.
Lawrence Kane Jr., author, speaker, coach, CEO of Abundance University, the #1 financial literacy coaching organization in Cincinnati for teens, college students, and adults, CEO of Invest in Black Women, author of 4 books, Little Lawrence Goes to the Bank, Money Seeds, 15 Business Principles, Money Seeds, 30 Financial Principles. Lawrence, can't tell you enough how much it means to us for you to come by, drop that knowledge on us, not just us, but also the people listening, the people watching. Personally, I would say if you take away anything from this, whether it is your business, whether it is your finances, whatever the case is, man, the number one thing is just start. Have a plan and start. Have a plan, follow through. Most importantly, just start. Like you said, Lawrence, you never saved $1,000 a month. So why put that goal out there? If you can only do 10, do 10, but save that 10. If it gets to 20, then cool. Then find a way to double it. But most importantly, just start. It's all about that discipline. It's all about that accountability that we are discussing here on Book 2. Lawrence, I appreciate you greatly. Spike Lou, I'm sure you appreciate him greatly as well.
Absolutely.
Stopping by.
What I'd say too, the biggest takeaway for me and for people listening, they're like, well, what do I do based off everything that he said? Like one of the most powerful things you said, well, just start. And it's going to, like you said, Rich, just now, and it's going to take work. And sometimes you ain't gonna like the work, and sometimes the work gonna be difficult. However, you have to do it if you're going to get to where you're looking to go. That all shucks, always me, all that attitude is not going to get you what you're looking for. And as you just like so well put over the last hour and 45 minutes, bro, like sometimes you got to do the work.
Absolutely, man. Lawrence, appreciate you, brother. Thank you. All the bookworms out there. We appreciate y'all as always. We'll be back next week. Glad to have a new co-author under the belt, man. An official bookworm. You're more than welcome to come back anytime you like, Lawrence. And of course, anything you ever need from me, don't hesitate. I got you.
Same here.
Likewise, man. Appreciate y'all brothers for having me, man.
No doubt, man. We appreciate all y'all. Y'all have a good night. Be cool. We out. Peace.